If you have no experience about rig armature, watch this video to improve and learn how to make this little animation. In Blender, a rig armature is a critical component for animating characters, objects, and creatures. Essentially, an armature acts like a skeleton that you can manipulate to create movement. Here's a comprehensive look at what a rig armature is and how it works in Blender. What is an armature? An armature in Blender consists of bones, which serve as the underlying structure for your 3D models. These bones are connected in a hierarchical manner, mimicking the natural joints of a living being or the mechanical joints of an object. Each bone can be rotated, scaled, and translated, allowing you to control the mesh, the 3D model, attached to it. Creating an armature. To create an armature in Blender, you start by adding an armature object to your scene. This can be done by pressing Shift+A, navigating to Armature, and selecting Single Bone. This single bone will serve as the starting point for your rig. You can then enter Edit mode by pressing Tab to add more bones and arrange them as needed for your model. Structure and hierarchy. In Edit mode, you can extrude new bones from existing ones by selecting a bone and pressing E. This extrusion creates a child bone connected to the parent bone, establishing a parent-child hierarchy. This hierarchy is crucial for realistic movement, as it ensures that when a parent bone moves, all its child bones move accordingly. Weight painting. Once your armature is set up, the next step is to bind it to your mesh. This process is known as skinning. Blender uses weight painting to determine how much influence each bone has over different parts of the mesh. You can manually adjust these weights by entering weight paint mode. Here, you can paint areas of the mesh to fine-tune how they respond to the movement of specific bones. Inverse kinematics. A significant feature of Blender's armature system is inverse kinematics, IK. IK allows you to control a chain of bones by manipulating the end effector, the final bone in the chain. This is particularly useful for animating limbs, such as arms and legs, where you want the entire limb to follow the movement of the hand or foot. To set up IK, you add an IK constraint to the desired bone, specifying the chain length, how many bones in the chain are affected. Pose mode. To animate your model, you switch to pose mode. In pose mode, you can move, rotate, and scale the bones to create different poses. These poses are then keyframed to produce animation. By setting keyframes at different points in the timeline, Blender interpolates the movement between poses, bringing your character or object to life. Constraints and controls. Blender also offers various constraints to add more complex behaviors to your armature. Constraints can limit the movement, rotation, or scale of bones, ensuring they move in a realistic manner. Common constraints include the limit rotation constraint, which restricts bone rotation to specified angles, and the copy location constraint, which makes one bone follow the position of another. Custom shapes and controls. To make the rig easier to animate, you can create custom shapes for the bones. These custom shapes act as visual controls, providing a more intuitive way to manipulate the rig. For example, you can use circles or arrows to represent different joints, making it clearer which bone controls which part of the mesh. Final thoughts. Rigging with armatures in Blender can be complex, but it is an essential skill for creating dynamic and realistic animations. By understanding the structure and functionality of armatures, you can create intricate rigs that bring your 3D models to life. Whether you are animating a simple object or a complex character, mastering the use of armatures will significantly enhance your animation workflow in Blender.
under a tree, where we can gaze upon the water as an